Namaskar and welcome to the Brahmi Academy. We have started the new syllabus of MPPSC and therein it was ideas and concept which was given recently. In this we are starting a new chapter which is Ganraj or republics. So this one in learning about what all things were there, the Gantantra, this is the syllabus, and then this is. So see, India had a great tradition of already there existed many republics, although our republic is close to like 76, 78 years old. But trust me, we had many republics which were there. There was this speech of Prime Minister Modi once he went to United Nations where he said that although India is as of today known as the largest democracy and oldest democracy is obviously said to be the USA, but we are also the problem. The ideas, the cultivation of these republics were initially started in India itself, and they predates to many centuries back. Like they are older than Buddha, they are older than Mahavir himself. So this is what it was, and sometimes it is even said it is older than Ram and Krishna also. We will learn each and everything related to that only. So pack your belts and let's start. So what happens is the initial version of Raj, what we know is when we think there are different words which are being used in republics. One is gun. The second is sang. So these two words, when they are written or used in our Vedic literature and literatures, they interchangeably means we are talking about republics. Always remember this thing. Moving on, the first thing, the first portion wherein we find details about this republic is in the Rig Vedas, the Vedas themselves, and the Atharva Veda. Here there are different samhitas also which were written in the later part. There also we find mention of republics. So for this thing you just need to remember there are mentions of republics in our Rig Veda as well as Atharva Veda, and there are a few samhitas also which talk about different forms of democratic as well as republic institutes. In the last lecture which I took, I told you about the principles to be followed by Yati. Yes, Yati or whatsoever you people need to call it. Who were these? That time itself I told you these were some sort of tribe or clan, or these were the community of people living in some sort of place, and they also, it is said that somewhere close to, these were sort of republics or democratic institutions. So we find the earliest mention in Indian literature or Indian text where we find about Ganraj or Gantantra is in the Ved themselves, the Rig Ved, as well as in the Atharva Ved, and there are a few samhitas also which deal with the same text and expansion. And the next thing is Mahabharata. Although Mahabharata, the major portion of the story is in the Prasth, and then what exactly is there in Mahabharata where the Pandu Raj was there and the Kuru Vansh and everything goes on. But in Mahabharata, in the next slide we will see about it, there is a conversation between Yudhishthir as well as Bhishma. There they talk about the Ganraj. So there it is. So next is Mahabharata, remember this portion. Third are the Buddhist texts. I told you it is earlier than Buddha himself. So those Buddhist texts which were known as canons. So these Buddhist canon, be they in Sanskrit or be they in Pali. Sanskrit, obviously, which sort of Buddhism it will be? Mahayana. And in Pali, it will be Hinayan. So both in Hinayan as well as in Mahayana tradition, we find mentions of republics, and those are known as Buddhist canons. Means those texts were the Buddhist canons. And here, next, how could anything be left without Panini's Ashtadhyaya? So we find mention of republic in Panini's Ashtadhyaya also. Next is Kautilya Arthashastra. How could anything be there in this complete beautiful our worth or the Indian landmass, that is Akhand Bharat, without completion of Kautilya Arthashastra? So Kautilya Arthashastra has written a lot about Ganraj, although he has written how to subdue them. He hasn't written how to expand them, because he is a person who talks about central control, a control that was to be manifested at the center, at the hand of Vijayjishu. He is also the king, because the only purpose of Arthashastra is to make Vijayjishu the lord of all the land, that is entirely covering all complete earth. So he will be talking we will see what exactly Kautilya talked about republics in Arthashastra. And the next portion is when there was this Greek invasions. There were few records which tell about these Ganraj, and Roman historians have written about these things. When Alexander came here in 326 BC. Yes, when he came here and they wrote about all these things, that India was a country wherein there already existed Ganraj. So some people even say back in Rome, the idea or the concept of this republic was borrowed from here itself. And some people even say this thing, this Aristotle, he visited different countries, he compared different constitutions, and for some portion of his life he was here in India also and compared that too. So we find mentions there too. And the last but not the least evidence are numismatic evidence. These are the evidences wherein we find details about the coins and inscriptions being found. So remember, this slide is very important. All these 7 are the factors which are there. All these 7 are the details, the sources, the credible sources wherein we find details about republic being present in India. Now let's look at them one by one. Just remember about Rig Veda here itself. There's nothing more to remember. There aren't many details in Rig Veda as well as in Atharvaveda. There was mention, and also in the Samhitas. Moving on to the next, which is Mahabharata. See, in Mahabharata, chapter number 107 and 108, what you find is Shanti Parv. This Shanti Parv is a book or some text written by Bhishma Pitama. The great learned man of the Kuru Vansh. He was the one who read everything, who knew a lot about things. He was taught by Lord Parashuram himself. He is the son of Ma Ganga. And then this way, this person was already, these are the credentials of this person. You already know these things. He was a celibate for all his life. He sacrificed throne for making his father to fulfill his wish. So this way Bhishma. What happened in the later portion, when Bhishma was talking to Yudhishthir and telling him that Yudhishthir, you are soon going to be a king. You need to understand what all things are there in this beautiful country that you are going to rule, a beautiful empire that you are going to rule. And he said that always remember, there are few people who have stayed together, who have been together, worked together, talked about different things together, and portrayed the responsibility and a responsible government. This thing is known as Gan or the Sangh. Here the mention in Shanti Parv that republic, the word for that is Gan. Don't call it Gan, it is Gan. So just remember it is Gan. Okay, so this Gan, these Gans are mentioned. He says that these are the people who have higher intellect, cause they discuss together, they talk together, they have been serving each other for life, and now they understand what is the need of existing such togetherness. So always remember, you need to find a way to have to cope up with them, to find good relations with them. So in Shanti Parv, the book here, in Mahabharata, the Shanti Parv, Bhishma Pitama tells Yudhishthir about these Ganas, and these Gans always are there with each other, respecting them, the authority and details about it. So here we find it. So just what you have to remember, in Mahabharata there is a book or there is some text which is known as Shanti Parv, which is written by Bhishma Pitama. He narrates the details of Gans in chapter number 107, 108 to Yudhishthir. Moving on. Here are the features of republic narrated by him. What he says, unity leads to power. See, there's a story also. No, people must have a dying father asked 5 of his sons to bring one stick and then break them. All of them were able to break it. But when he joined those 5 sticks and asked them to break, it was not easy for them to break. So this is what the story of power is, the strength. Together we stand, divided we fall. So again he said, all these Ganas know about the thing that unity leads to power. We should be together, we should be standing together, and then it progresses. Next thing they said, it brings prosperity. See, when you're united, you think about other people also, because whensoever a person needs to walk a step, he has to be with each and everyone so that everyone could proceed. You can't be leaving them now, because that's the basic principle of unity. So as to progress and prosper, people start doing different things and start understanding the details. So herein what Shanti Parv tells, that these people were actually enough with their money, they have stable income, they had capital with them, so they were prosper and they had prosperity in their region. The next thing was they were intelligent. I have already told you. Obviously they are brave because they have to protect the Gan, so they need to be a warrior, they need to be valiant enough so that if there are attacks from different areas, they will be able to defend it. Next, they were enthusiastic. Without a doubt, they have to be so. Obviously, honesty is the best policy. They need to be honest, because without honesty, no gun could be proceeded, because people trust each other. Na? So see, trust is the stepping stone to have a Ganraj. Without that thing, without trust, without honesty, without truth, no one can ever succeed. So these are the basic things. Now next was intelligent and trade in the use of arms, which I have already told you, and help in this distress. See, sometimes when it was a community, when people found that different people had different problems, what they did was understanding that how could they be helped, and this way they were helped, and in the further succession we find about details. Now it was even important for Yudhishthir to know how could one destroy these ganas, because Yudhishthir was at the end of the day ruling an empire. In empire, the only purpose is to expand, because that is what being taught. That is why they perform different yagnas, which we have learnt in the Vedic period itself. So again, standing and understanding that, in Shanti Parva he further narrates those reasons and those ways how could you destroy Gan. So these are, so please just keep them in mind. You need not to remember them, but you can use them in mains answer writing also. In Shanti Parva these all things are written. See how republics could be destroyed. He has given a complete shlok on that. You people could read. And what he meant was internal conflicts are the leading way to destroy Ganraj. See, Ganraj or the Loktantra or this republic, they were like iron. What could destroy iron? This is an old probe. Only rust could destroy iron, or just the iron itself can destroy itself. Correct? So that rust for these ganas, these guns, were internal conflicts. If the people started fighting with each other, if they thought that no, he is not good for me, he is bad for me, or XYZ whatsoever they started thinking, these internal conflicts, if you could manage to instigate an internal conflict, if you could manage and divide those people, ultimately that gun will fall. So it is this way the republics could be tamed. It is this way the republics could be understood, that these are not that eligible to understand, and they could be merged in other kingdoms. So remember this portion, it is just the internal conflicts. If you are able to divide people, destroy republics. If you are able to divide people, then the republics will fall. And also another important thing, how republics could be how republics can save themselves, if there is a person who is trying to divide it, if there is a person who is talking about division in the society, talking about different values, different instigating different sources, then we have to shut them up directly. We should not give them passage or platform, as East India Company or the English government, when they were ruling India, did to Muhammad Ali Jinnah, because that instigated a division or partition of India itself. Remember, we should not allow these people to be there. Their heads should be chopped off. This is what it is written, and it should be this way, that we should control our republics and our guns. Moving on. The next thing that we find is in Buddhist canon. I've already told you, republics are older than Buddha himself. Now just think about it. How beautifully we have been said that our republic, this republic or this democracy is a modern construct. Just think about it, how leftists have fooled us repeatedly, and over years they haven't allowed us to read the respected sources that could have been telling us the real story, the real history of our culture, our civilization, how we have navigated from different time periods. What we have been told, we are told about Sati. What we have been told, we are told about the Varna Vyavastha and everything XYZ. But we are never told about these things, where a person himself or herself could take pride in that I belong to that civilization which had representations like this also, where people used to talk about it. It is older than Buddha. Just think about, there is an institution, there is a system which existed far before Buddha himself, which existed close to an era wherein it was Krishna, Lord Krishna. So just think how rich we were. All these things are there. So always feel proud about your civilization, because at the end, again I'm saying, I'm repeating it continuously, that the last surviving civilization, we should be proud about it. Moving on, the Buddhist canon. Herein I told you there are two ways, which two literatures. One in Sanskrit, obviously it is Mahayana Buddhism without a doubt. Another is in Pali, which is Hinayan Buddhism. So in both of these, what we find is mention of Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Now what is this? See, Buddha had an accomplice of his name was Ananda. What Anand was like, he used to be with Buddha, Lord Buddha, and he was cousin of Lord Buddha. In reality, he was cousin of Lord Buddha. He joined him, and he was the companion. He used to go here and there with Buddha himself and what. So what happened is, once Ajatashatru, who was the king of Magad, he thought of invading a Ganraj, which is Vajjan. This Vajjan. King Ajatashatru thought of invading it and trying to destroy it, and thought of understanding that it could be looted or plundered and it could be joined in my kingdom itself. Expansion of the territory, that was the only thing. So King Ajatashatru, what we find this mention, complete mention in Mahaparinibbana Sutta, this King Ajatashatru wanted to invade Vajjan, and this way he went and asked Buddha, and Buddha was told about this thing, should he be doing this thing or not. So Ajatashatru himself did ask Buddha to tell what his views must be in this thing. What Buddha said was, Buddha says, he talks to Ananda and says, have you do you know these Vajjans? Ananda, Buddha's companion, he says to him, do you know these people were Vajjan? These are democratic republics. They have stayed together, they have respected each other, they have loved each other, they have defended each other. It won't be easy for any king to invade such respected democracies or such respective Ganraj. Remember, Buddha is talking here about a democratic system and a republic system. Just think about it. At that time, when Buddha was alive, you yourself estimate the time period. We had an institution which was democratic, which was republic. The name was Vajjans. So this way, the king Ajatashatru, we find this mention. We don't find that this is this Ajatashatru wanted to attack this democratic republic which was of Vajjans, and it was told to Buddha, and Buddha was telling this to Ananda that they are trying to do so, but it won't be easy for them because these people have defended themselves, stayed together. It is not going to be easy. So in this text, the text is Mahaparinibbana Sutta. The Buddha to Anand, the same thing is written. You people could read it also. This is in the, and the text, the age which I wanted to tell you people was 2nd century AD. This long, this early. And in the modern era itself, you find about these things that there have been different germinations of Rome and Greece. In Greece, Athens and everything developed, and it was this system of democracy out there. But we had mentions wherein all these things happened. Now this was Ananda's. It was earlier. Now there is another Sanskrit Buddhist text which is Avadana Shataka. Avadana Shataka. This Buddha's were, this 2nd century is of Avadana Shataka. Remember this thing. Buddha's were to till here it is. About Buddha tells to Ananda about gun, and this is a new sentence, remember this portion. Avadana Shataka, a Sanskrit Buddhist text. It is somewhere close to 2nd century AD. That is why I thought Buddha was born far before. How could this be 2nd century AD? Nevertheless, so this text is different, which I said, Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Next is Avadana Shataka. What is there in Avadana Shataka? It is again a Buddhist text. It's written in Sanskrit. When few people from the north went to south from business and different things, there the king asks them, what exactly is the rule in the north? Being curious, king just wanted to know the cultural differences, the cultural similarities, and everything, those geographical and political things also. So people there, the merchants there, answer him that respected king, or the lord, or the deva, they say. In the shlok which is written, it's not written here, they say, Dev, there are few kingdoms which are ruled by the king, and then there are few kingdoms which are ruled by the men themselves. Men themselves means the Ganraj or the Gans. So remember, we had a Buddhist text which is named Avadana Shataka. In this Avadana Shataka, which was written 2nd century AD, it's a Sanskrit Buddhist text. In this, we find, Your Majesty, certain areas are under a republican form of government, while some others are ruled by the king, as you are here the king. So two of the literary sources, one was Mahaparinibbana Sutta and then Avadana Shataka. So these are this Mahaparinibbana Sutta, wherein Buddha himself tells that this Vajjan, the democratic republic, it won't be easy to capture because these people have stayed together, they are strong enough, and these things are being told to Ananda by Buddha himself. And the next was Avadana Shataka, wherein few merchants from the north tell about the political things which are there in the in the north to the king are in south. So remember, it is still here itself, है ना? This is a full stop. Remember, the full stop. It's the next sentence. Next. So we have seen in Buddhist, we have seen in Mahabharata. Now the next portion is important republics at the time of Mahabharata. See, I don't know whether it would be asked to you, but it could be asked like this way. These are the republics, and a name of a kingdom also could be there. So identify which is not a republic. So please just have a look in it, and all of these are important. So there were 9 important republics at that time. Kushinara of Malya. Then we have Pava of Malya. See, this is a place, and this is the kingdom known as, okay, remember this thing, like Lichavis or Vaishali. Vaishali is a place, and don't think that this complete geographical area was ruled by a republic. No, there was a portion called Lichavi which was ruled by Vaishali, and Lichavi, it's a very important name because you people know this Ashoka also. They have into matrimonial alliance. These modern kings have had matrimonial alliance with Lichavis of Vaishali. And then we have Shakas of Kapila Vastu, Kolis of Ramgram, Maurya of Pipalivan, Maurya of Poland, Bullies of Alappa, and then Kipattu Kalam, Bhag of Sumsamagiri. So these are the 9. Please just look at them and try to memorize them. And these are all locations. This is your beautiful India. The majority of this was here. All of these were here itself. Some few till here also, you can say. So this was the majority of republics which had, and maximum it was monarchy, no doubt. But these tiny footholds were a republican also. And we will find this mention in Arthashastra also, which are the different kinds of these tiny footholds. Please keep in mind these 9, in which Lichavis or Vaishali is very important, and then Maurya of Pipalin is also important, Shaka of Kapilavastu is important, as well as Mallas of Kushinagar ke Malla. This Malla of Kushinagar or Pav ke Malla, that is Pav's Mall. These 3 are most important ones, so please keep them in mind. Moving on. Again, this you find the details in the Buddhist text itself, in the Buddhist time. Okay. Next is Alexander's invasion. Okay, the Alexander the Great, as people say, although it's disputed, but nevertheless. What happened is, when Alexander came to India, he was on a road just to win the complete world, entire world. And some people say him to be the most valiant conqueror also, although it is disputed. Some call Genghis Khan to be the one. Nevertheless, he was one. So when he came into India, he started fighting with Indians, and we know their story of Porus and everything. But before Porus also, there were few republics which fought a valiant war, although they lost. But what happened to the army on the other side, that is also important. Their number shrunk to very little. Although the Mallas, the one I just told you about, these Mulls, they are the one who have fought the war. And these Mallas, when they did fight, they were republics, as you have seen in the earlier slide itself. They fought valiantly, and Alexander was shocked. There is no king here. How could this even happen? Those people wrote about, these details were written about the people who came with them. Like you all must have heard this name, Diodorus Siculus. This Diodorus Siculus writes that there were people who were fighting for other people. It was not for king. This was first time observed by any Western countryman, that there is an institution which people fight for different organizations, but this organization is for themselves, because it was not for king, it was not for money, it was not for anything. It was just because they had this value enshrined in them. It is my Matrabhumi, it is my motherland, I need to protect it, and they fought valiantly. So they inflicted huge damages to the other side also. That is why it is said he did not come to the further portion of Magad, because People have told those stories back in that time, that the kingdom Magad, although that was ruled by the Nanda dynasty at that time, it was so prominent, it was so strong that they had these many emperors evading, is waiting for war, these many soldiers with all those archeries and all those ammunitions and weapons and everything was there. So they were shocked, they thought that we will die, we won't even survive. They started a mutiny even just after looking how Muls fought. So just understand the importance of these republics. Although this war was lost, they lost it, but when they saw what damage they have inflicted to the other side, they had to retreat. And from this way it is said it was just India which has stopped the Vijay Path, as they say in Hindi, Vijay Path of Alexander the Great. So this way we find in the mention of Ganas or the republics in that period of time also, where Diodorus Siculus has written during the invasion of Alexander. Moving on, Arthashastra. As you people must have already known, this is my favorite thing to discuss, because Kautilya is someone we must always look at. If there are anything that you need to understand in politics, in economy, how to run a society, how to understand it, it has to be Arthashastra. Although you need to modify few, but to the best, this is the one. And in modern India, our foreign policy, we are trying to teach our different institutes this foreign policy from Arthashastra itself. The Saptanga theory, which you people learn for mains also, or the Mandal Siddhant. This is all from who? Arthashastra, the Kautilya himself. So this book is something which is great. So I'll talk about it. In Arthashastra again, we find mentions of republics, but this time it is how to crush them rather than how to breed them. It is about how to crush them. In modern empire, the book, this Arthashastra is a book, is a model book, how to rule, how to be good at ruling and everything. So there, in book number 11, please remember this thing, it is important. Book number 11, it is mentioned about Arthashastra or the Ganas. Again, this word I said you, Bhishma Pitama also used this word, and Kautilya is also using the same word, which is Ganas. So book number 11. What he says, there are two types of societies or kingdom, as said by Arthashastra. Remember the Sangh. Sangh is nothing but group of people. And also how they are politically active, or what is the system, political system in these sanghs. So there are two type of political sanghs. What he writes, one is Arthashastropaji. Here in these people used to do trade, earn their livelihood through trade, agriculture, animal husbandry and military knowledge. He has narrated the few examples were Kamboj, Saurashtra, Range. Always remember. So one was Arthashastropaji, a tough name to remember, but please revise it. And some people were saying how to revise all of this thing and everything. So remember, karat karat abhyas ke janmati hot suchan, rasi avat jaat hai sil par padat nishan. This was written by Bopadeo himself, and he saw he was quite arrogant. He didn't understand a lot, and people said that you fool, you won't do anything. When he sat beside a well, he saw rope going in and out, and due to that continuous pressure, there was distortion in the stone itself, which was there. So for that keeping place of pot, so that clay was able to make some distortion in the stone. So he said, karat karat abhyas ke jad mat hot so jan. The person who is like who's blocked can also become great, or he can become intellectual. So remember, you just need to practice, it's important. So first was this, and the few which were Kamboj, Saurashtra and Range, and then the sixth was Raj Shabdobjivi. This Raj Shabdobjivan, although the word comes from Raj, so this means it used to earn through the living titles of kings. Okay, they had the title of kings. These titles were given to them, and with these titles they proceeded and they helped themselves out. And some beautiful examples are Lichavis, Vijikas, Mals and Mandrak. These are the details. And in the further experts, it is told how to curb them, how to control them, but that is not what we need to study. Remember, Arthashastra is also a source which tells us about the Ganraj, and there are two type of Ganraj, which are Arthashastropajivi, and the other one is Raj Shabdopajivan. Okay, well and good. Let's move. See, so subdue such kingdoms. Okay, but we were not to get into that. We need to respect that republic portion, but and everything. But anyways, if someone tries to be over smart, like a state tries to secede from India, sees that I just want to be an independent countries, wherein we have started listening about these calls from few of the political parties, like recently in if I'm not wrong, it was Karnataka or Andhra Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, which said that we'll go for another state, and then Raja also from Tamil Nadu, he said that if our demands are not met, Tamil Nadu will become another country and we will secede from it. This is never going to happen from India, but nevertheless, Kautil has always told us how to manage those activities. Just be calm. We will read Arthashastra for that. Next, last but not the least, numismatic evidence. I told you initially itself, all these people who were living in republics, obviously they are going to earn and they are going to trade with other people also. There has to be some trading activity or the market activity, economic activity for the survival of different people and different sets. For this, there was some cultural achievements also that was happening continuously. Like some people who fought war against Alexander, they will be writing it somewhere. No? It will be inscription, like Ashoka had inscription back in his time. So there was these inscription before that too. So these inscriptions and obviously those sets of coins which were then placed out, we had detailed explanations about all these things, and that these were from this, these were issued, the coins were issued by republics. So remember this thing. So these numismatic evidences tell us about those things, that there were different coins which were issued by Ganraj, there were different inscriptions which were written. So different Ganasangya, okay, this word Ganasang is there. So again Ganasang, the same thing which I have already told you. Names, a few names are mentioned, please just go through them. It's not that important, but just go through them once or twice. Okay. See, when we are told about different important books, different important lectures which have this traditional aspect, which tells about the different society values which were held at that period of time, one obviously is Arthashastra, and then second one is Ashtadhyaya of Panini. We all know Panini to be someone, a great scholar. He is the person who has given us details about the grammars of Sanskrit also. This scholar back in the 5th century. Remember, 5th century. Just getting my point. Just think about a time even earlier than Buddha. Remember this point. This Panini, he talks about some Gan or Sanghs when he was in 5th century BC. He tells that there was a political system, political union which was known as Gan. What are these Gan? Where one like different amount of people stay together. This is Gan, the initial and the simplest definition. Now for these Gans to exist together, there has to be some sort of political advance or political system that was making them stay in that fact, and that political system is explained by Panini, and there are 3 explanations. The body for that he uses is Sangh. Remember, he has used the word Sangh interchangeably. Here Gan is for state where people are staying together. It could be any Gan then. Okay, understand. But when he uses the word Sangh, he has given 3 meaning, and he has talked about Nikay. What is Nikay? Election. Like, correct? Nikay, Chunav, as we said nowadays. What is it? Nikay? Yes. So he's talking about those elections being held in this Gan, because those are the people living together, and what he's calling that body that we use the word was Sangh. These are the people who are elected. They are the people who are representative of other people. He's talking about those elections being held. Now also there's one more thing in Ashtadhyaya that you people need to know, because in the later portion you people will find about these things. The leftist historian tried to take a word from his Ashtadhyaya. What he used it, this word itself, this Sangh, what he used is village animal association. that is when group of pets, they were also known as Sangh. So there are many leftist historians who have portrayed us that no, there was no concept of proto-democratic or proto-republican states in India before. Actually, there was these values developed in the modern world. So they say all this Sangh or all this Gana, whatsoever you people want to say, they are talking about this association of village animals. Remember, in Ashtadhyayi it is written, but it is not directly. There are three usages of it. One for people who are living together, then second is for the Nikaya, that is the electoral body or the body which is being elected after those elections and representative of each and everyone who is living around. And the next thing is village association. But leftists have just tried to take this value up and they are trying to just scavenge on it. They are trying to eat like vultures. They are feeding on these materials. Let's see, in Ashtadhyayi there was nothing about this. So they are being petrified about the values that we had. They never talk about all this thing which was written in Shantipar, all those Buddhist texts and canons. So remember the rich heritage we have. I have told you this thing also. So if anyone asks you how, no, it was for pet animals or the association of pet animals, try to correct them or at least tell them, no, don't try to fool me, because I know it was again a word which was mentioned for group, and this group was also this group. But in that book itself, it is specially mentioned, and previously in starting itself it is mentioned it is for Nikaya, the electoral body. So here I guess we end our lecture for Ganraj, and yes, we do so. So again, let's revise initially. First it is Rig Veda and the Atharveda. There are a few Samhitas also which talk about it. And the second is Mahabharata, which talks about the Shanti Parva. The third is Buddhist canon, wherein we learn about different things, wherein Buddha himself tells to Ananda that Vajjan, Ajayashatru wants to attack Vajjan, but it won't be easy for him because people, they have stayed together, they are working for each other, so they respect each other, so it won't be easy for him to do so. Moving forward, we have obviously Chanakya's Arthashastra, which he talks about all these things. That is Kautilya talks about everything, but he talks about subduing these ganas. So respect that too. And then we have another Sanskrit text which tells about what was the society in north when a king in south asked him, and these were the way. And then numismatic also evidences where coins and inscriptions are being said. Panini, we have Ashtadhyayi which tells about different Ganraj and everything. Try to revise it again and again. There are a few names of republics also which could be directly asked, and I believe this is complete thing you wanted. Try to use these details in your main Sasana writing also, whensoever it is there are words, whensoever there are topics related to democracy or values or ideas or concept of our Vedic period, our Indian literature and civilization. And yes, we'll meet soon. Till then, take care.